Number 3, intro requirements in depth. How to meet each requirement of the introduction checklist. So again, here are the questions that we looked at previously, right? So to put it simply, you're setting the context by answering what is this. You're stating the main idea and why it's important in what do you want me to do as a reader. And lastly, your thesis statement is going to answer why am I reading this paper. So here's that checklist again. We're going to start off with the author and title. You want to make sure that you capitalize the author's first and last name and italicize the title. Background information. So there's 3 parts over here because there's a lot of background information and different ways that you can introduce this information. You could ask yourself, did you provide enough information, as if you gave enough summary to tell your reader about the book but not giving away too much, or especially enough about the book that's related to the essay prompt that you're choosing. There's also setting, which is the time and location of the story, and there's also important characters, especially ones that are present in your evidence or related to the essay prompt that you chose. Themes and key conflicts. What themes, main ideas, or key conflicts need to be addressed before presenting your thesis? Something that I want you to keep in mind about themes or key conflicts, this could also include critical concepts or vocabulary words that you might need to define. I'll give an example for each grade. With 10th grade, A Raisin in the Sun, you may need to talk about gentrification, blockbusting, redlining, maybe even racism. Whatever terms you think you need to define, include that in this part of your introduction. For 11th grade, since we're reading Dear America, you may need to talk about what the difference is between documented and undocumented. What is dehumanizing language? What is true solidarity? All of these concepts that we've learned in class aren't necessarily everyday vocabulary that someone is going to use, when you're passing by at the grocery store. So again, for both classes, make sure that you're defining any critical concepts that, you would think that no one else understands, but would need to know the definition for of your paper. And lastly, your thesis statement. This is the last sentence of the introduction, which states the 3 topics your body paragraphs will address. So we're going to go a little deeper into what I mean by setting the context. When you're setting the context, the first statement of your introduction can be a hook. If you kind of forgot what a hook is a statement, question, fact, or quote that catches your reader's attention and probably sets the tone for this part or the rest of your paper. Summarize the book or the topic. As mentioned previously, you want to talk about the setting, time, place, location, important characters, or just give an overall summary of what the book is about. And lastly, make sure you introduce the title of the book and the author. Number 2, state why the main idea is important. Tell your reader why they should care and keep reading. Think about what attracted you to this essay prompt in the first place, and not necessarily just because we have to write an essay in class, but you chose which prompt you wanted to write about. Why did you choose 1, 2, or 3? Are there any themes, main ideas, key conflicts, terms that need to be explained or defined? So like I mentioned earlier, if there's a word that you learned in class that someone else might not know, this would probably be a good time to define that. Give enough detail to teach someone, but not too much that it distracts them from your point. So if you start talking about redlining or blockbusting, immigration, and undocumented status, don't go off topic. This is just the introduction. You don't need to tell them too much. If anything, just give them the definition of the word that you're trying to explain. You would also make connections to other articles or reference other things that we used in class that we've read to help us define what these concepts are. So we're going to pause here. I want you to use the Google form below to answer this question. Make sure you're clicking on the 10th or 11th grade link for the check for understanding Google form, and answer this question on the document. What are the important requirements the introduction answers for the reader? Check all that apply, and you're going to continue using this Google form as you move on through the rest of these videos. So pause here and resume after you answer.